I think that it's very important for creatives to understand themselves as business owners. You need to know all aspects of your business. Someone who doesn't care about you, somebody who is not being paid by you and who is paid by someone else to come for you and get you, they're gonna ask those questions. You're gonna think that I'm trying to argue you down and fight with you on this, but I'm just trying to get into the head of somebody who is not on your side and try to attack it from every angle. The same way you wouldn't hide something from your doctor, do not hide from your lawyer, because we can't help you if we don't know the full lay of the land. If you're creative and you're collaborating with other creatives, talk to a lawyer about what that collaboration looks like. As soon as someone else gets a little bit more savvy than you are on the legal side, but eventually you're gonna mess up and you're gonna have to go to a lawyer.
Yo, what's going on, world? It's your boy Poncho here. Welcome to episode 24 of the Encore Podcast. If this is your first time listening, this is a podcast for artists, entrepreneurs, anyone with a passion that they're trying to turn into a full-time business. So if that's you, subscribe, tap in with the community. I'm here today with my co-host, Cruz.
Poncho, what's going on, bro?
Gang.
So today, this is a very, very special guest for me. Not only is she an IP and entertainment attorney, but she's also alumni of my law school, Brooklyn Law School. And more importantly, she is our first woman guest to be on the podcast. So this is a very, I know for sure. And that's a slight on us, but I'm so happy to have you today here, Isaro.
We were going through the fucking episode.
By the way,
Isaro.
Yes, Isaro.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Sorry, I forgot.
No,
it's all good. Yeah, we were looking at the episode. No, you texted me like, "Yo, bro, we've had no women."
Yeah. It's kinda like, so please, if you're a woman, like, please hit us up and like feature on the show.
Be in their comments. You know, like just let them know you want to see more women.
Yeah.
Women are entrepreneurs and creatives too.
Facts,
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. It is a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to have this conversation.
Okay. Yeah, excited. Like for me, having these conversations is everything. I try to have these conversations as much as I can. So we had a lawyer on our show about 4 episodes ago before this, maybe 5. And that conversation was with Jared. Please check it out if you're interested in the music space. That one was more focused on the music industry and very deep down into the music space in general. This one, we're trying to have a little bit more general startup business and people who are more on the entrepreneur sort of startup level of things. So this is where we're heading with this conversation.
You did a great job. Shout out to you. You're watching.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so in a few minutes, could you tell the people where you're from, how you got started in the career you're in, and what you currently do today?
Okay, so where I'm from, loaded question, even there, right? No, I'm a New York native, born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx, went to school in Harlem and Brooklyn, lived in Queens.
Bronx, I heard it.
Period, you already know what's up, okay? What? Okay, sorry. So yeah, those are all the different places that I grew up. Pretty much everywhere in New York except for Staten Island. I know how some people feel about that. I'm not gonna get into it. I love New York City. So yeah, that's where I'm from. Like my family's heritage, on my dad's side we're Jamaican, and on my mother's side we are from Rwanda. So that was fun growing up.
That was fun growing up.
Yeah. No, like a lot, not even like backhanded or nothing. Like it was a lot of fun.
What was fun about it? Just having that influence of culture.
Parties.
The parties are fun. The food is fun. Everybody has like big personalities. There's just like rich culture and things going on. And truthfully, the music. So that's something that from the time that I was, before I could even walk, I was just, like sitting around, like dancing and stuff and like babbling along to songs. Like my parents have videos of these things, like home videos. Dope. I think like the first time, like I was 3 years old when my dad gave me like my first little headset. It was one of his old Sony Walkmans. So it was like a cassette tape player and it had like one of these legendary reggae artists. It was like one of their legendary albums. And I was just listening to it. I would listen to it.
Yeah.
Over and over. I would have it cradled with me in my bed. It was Bob Marley. It was the Legend album. It was the Legend album. He's like the most iconic Jamaican artist, arguably, right? Because there are plenty of others. But I would just listen to all of that music growing up. And I was just like, wow, I want to be a singer. I want to like do this. I want to write music.
So at a very early age, you felt yourself gravitating towards a creative space and artistic space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And my parents definitely encouraged it. my dad used to play instruments growing up, and my mom was a dancer, like back in like actual like cultural dancer.
Yeah. What kind of instruments and dance?
My dad, he used to play the trumpet, and so he encouraged both my brother and I to, play instruments and stuff. Thankfully, in the New York City public schools, they had their music programs, and of course, everybody, they start with a recorder, but eventually they let you have an instrument that you can specialize in, I guess. Very quickly found out that reading music, hard for me, can't do that.
I can't even do that.
Right?
I'm with you, yeah.
It's so hard for me.
Yeah, I can't read music.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was that like I didn't apply myself. I tried really hard because I wanted to be good. I wanted to be like the people that I looked up to, but it wasn't going for me, and I tried so many different instruments. It wasn't happening. I even tried the trumpet. Like my dad saved his trumpet to give to like his child one day to go and be able to play the trumpet. I disappointed him. It wasn't good. But I say all that to say that like this rich musical upbringing that I had inspired me to want to work in the entertainment industry, specifically music. It was that, and when I started realizing like I can't play a note and I can't hold a note, like with singing, I was like, okay, we're gonna have to find something else. What is plan B?
So to be a part of the culture and the environment that you really felt pull towards.
Exactly. Right. Because so much of this music, like it was inspirational. Like there are so many like songs that like I think back on and I know exactly where I was when I first heard it. I know exactly who I was with. I remember like the smells, the sounds, like everything of, like that was going on in that time. And I'm like, music is like such an important part of culture, and beyond that, I think I have this reverence for people who are able to create those soundscapes and like evoke those kinds of emotions through like just sonically. And so I used to geek out to like, okay, like who are these people? What are their real names? And like, so I would read liner notes in all the CDs that I used to get. From like reading those liner notes, beyond learning the lyrics and knowing like who the songwriters were, I started seeing, oh, here are the producers, here are the executives, and like piecing together, okay, with music, there are so many different parts to this. I can fit myself in somewhere, right? And
so all that goes into the product that you see. What went into that and what piece of the puzzle. So you tried to look for your piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you can contribute.
Exactly.
I resonate with that.
And
for
I found my piece when I started reading more complex material as I grew up, right? Like just from moving from picture books to like paragraph books. And now I'm on the internet and I'm like reading online about celebrity news and like entertainer news and stuff. And I start learning that a lot of these musicians that I really, really loved from my early childhood are going bankrupt. They don't own their music. People are stealing things from under their nose. I was like, oh crap, like what happens then? And then, you go deeper into the research and like looking and reading and on the music news, like on TV and in the magazines back then, right? Because we didn't have social media and stuff like that. I realized I was like, oh, like the people who can really help them get out of this hole or even prevent them from getting there in the first place are lawyers. And I was like, okay, boom, there it is. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you felt that?
Yeah.
As soon as you saw there was a problem and you wanted to be a part of the solution towards it.
Exactly.
And okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that, but I was like, okay, for my life, like what am I going to do for work to make money?
Yeah.
I think that's something, since I liked thinking about it and reading about it and knowing about it all day, I was like, why not get paid for it?
And you saw it as part of your skill set as well, of course? Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about another time in another interview that growing up with your parents, from their cultures, they had high expectations on the academic level. So
absolutely 100%. So even though like I'm listening to this music all day, right, and on the internet all day reading, they made sure that I was reading, that I was doing my schoolwork, and it was no games with that. And I know they always say like with immigrant children specifically, we always make fun of our parents saying like, oh yeah, there are only 3 options. You can only be a lawyer, a doctor, or engineer. Thankfully, that was in line with what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and you felt that though?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. And I think for a long time too, I was kind of ashamed to admit that it was going to be an entertainment lawyer though.
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel that. Yeah, because
really?
in a lot of cultures.
I do feel that, 1,000,000%.
In a lot of cultures, as soon as you say something about like being creative, and not at home with my own parents. Like my parents are like, dude, if you want to be a pig farmer in space, like go do that. We're going to help you. So I'm very grateful for that. But it's just like other people like your dreams just aren't that important to them, and so like any snide comment, they don't realize that it can like crush you, especially as a child. So I learned very quickly, like, okay, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be a doctor, and I rolled with it.
Yeah, in your undergrad or even before that, because at what point in your life did you realize you wanted to be an entertainment lawyer?
I would say like when I was very young, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, right?
Really young.
And I knew that I wanted to have my own entertainment company one day.
Oh yeah?
Right?
Okay.
So it was like both of those.
And you understood the firm, like what a firm was, and to make your own firm? Or
absolutely not.
But
I did not know what it was going
to contribute to it.
Exactly. Yeah. In the first iteration of that idea, I thought that it was going to be that I started an entertainment company and then eventually just head the legal department and then let everybody else do whatever else, or come together with other people and do the legal department. And then I realized after going to law school, I was like, oh, I can just do this by myself. Okay. So I did that. But for a long time, like to answer your question about just actually taking it seriously, when I was in high school, the high school that I went to, they had majors and stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this like 4-year gateway to medicine major, they called it. And like I was into it and I really liked it because I liked the hard sciences and it was really fun, specifically biology. But when it came to like the dissections and blood and stuff, I was like, it's really not for me and I can't keep up the charade.
Wow, that's crazy because that's my exact story where I started my undergrad in pre-med, and that's what I did. I was in the hard sciences, and very similar to, not to make it too much about me, but just going into, I wanted to be a part of music, and I told my friends I would be their manager when I started, when they had something going for them and something to manage, but I realized that was a very dependent field to be in, so I discovered entertainment law. Once I discovered entertainment law, I was like, okay, so that could be something where I could help my friends, but also be self-sustaining and not have to depend on anybody else. So not to cut you off on your story, if there's anything else you want to touch on, but you have your own firm now called the Carter Firm.
Yes.
And I would love for you to break down what the Carter Firm does, who they represent, and what your mission statement might be for that.
Absolutely. So, interestingly enough, your target audience for this podcast, those are the people that I represent, entrepreneurs and just creatives. So a lot of my clients are small business owners in my community. And then there are others who are musicians in the community and people that I've known throughout the years who were making art or they were making music and stuff from way back in the day. And I finally got my degree and they're like, hey, I want you to be my lawyer. Yeah. And so there are screenwriters as well. There are producers and producers in a music sense and in like the film and TV sense. Yeah, it runs the gamut of like entertainment, the types of creatives that I come into. There are even some visual artists that I represent, like even my own.
Like photographers and videographers.
Yeah, there are photographers that I've worked with before,
like
and
physical drawers.
Yes, painters. Painters. So though I deal with art because again, like I was saying, like art is such. I feel like it's the crux of culture, and my upbringing built me to have a deep reverence for it and for the people who create it. And I don't like seeing them be taken advantage of because their art is so impactful and profound for me. I just feel like their stuff needs to be in check so they can continue creating and just make, the things in life that are more, that make it worth living half of the time, I don't know if you've ever been to like a concert or for your favorite artist. Recently, I went to a Tame Impala concert and that dude is a rock star.
I've never seen him in person.
Like, I don't know, the production is insane, and to hear it on such a loud like scale where it's to the point where the bass is booming and your body is like vibrating. It's almost a spiritual experience, and I hate seeing people being taken advantage of when they're creating something that is so impactful.
Hell yeah. I'm taking half of what you said in your mission statement and gonna blend it into my own, because that's pretty much exactly how I feel and why I want to get into it. So that you're inspiring me so much to really pursue my lane.
Please, we need more people because there are so many artists and I still see so many awful things happening every single day. We need more. There's enough room for everybody. Please, if you want to be a lawyer, do that.
Where are the lawyers? I know that's something you want to ask.
That was one of my questions. I was going to get into this a bit later, but I mean, okay.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. I've been in this industry for about 5 years now. I met my first lawyer 3 weeks ago.
Oh, how did that happen? Poncho, let me know.
He came on our podcast.
Oh, okay, Jared.
Shout out Jared. He was the first lawyer I met in 5 years. Now, I don't live in a major city, so I'm sure that's an aspect of it.
Yeah.
But why? Okay, in your opinion, why are there so few lawyers out there in this game? Especially because I know there's a need for it.
I gotta say, I don't know if it's because of the bubble that I'm in. I don't know that I could come to the table and agree with you on that.
Really?
And that's just because I am around other entertainment lawyers all the time. I do, like, I am a solo attorney, but I am around them all the time. Now, I will say that I think there's something there to what you're saying about, I guess, lawyers that are on a creative side outside of a record label, outside of a big firm, and like with a solo practice that are dedicated to entertainers and creators just on a consistent basis.
And more on the ground level.
Exactly.
Sort of like you can access them. Because if you're an attorney at a record label, they're not going to represent you. Like you might know
where do you
them,
even find their email?
Not going to do it. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like you don't even know who they are, where they are. And truthfully, you really don't know who they are until you probably doing something that they don't like. You know?
Okay. And maybe see, for me, I'm on the side where I tried to contact every entertainment attorney in the area. And sheesh, people that are doing what you're doing in New York, New Jersey area, 20, 30, like that's not like a lot, you know what I mean? Like that, or I could find accessibly. And that's the thing. Not that they're not out there. I know a lot of people don't have a website or LinkedIn or interviews. Like what I could find as somebody, if I'm going into that, and if I'm a creative and I'm actually looking for somebody to represent me, it's so intimidating. Like who's actually going to be able to handle my work?
That's definitely true. That's definitely true. And honestly, it's great to hear you guys say this because now when I go back to my peers in my network, I think that this is something that I'm going to bring up to them. And I think, too, there's an element of a lot of attorneys, too, more or less, especially like the more experienced ones, were around before the internet. So even if they do have their websites and stuff, it may be hard to find them because their websites aren't SEO optimized. I don't know if that's the case or not. That's just me.
Probably a large part of
it. Like I'm thinking about that, and a lot of people aren't digital natives like we are. And so coming into that space, like where the world is moving and where the creators are now, I don't think, that's always where you're going to find them. I try to be there, like I'm here, talking with you guys in front of the audience.
Are there more younger lawyers or older lawyers in the game?
I think they're
that are accessible to our audience. I feel like that's the more important answer. That's kind of
truthfully, I got to be honest with you. I wouldn't even know because my experience and the route that I took into this was very unorthodox. People look at me like I'm crazy all the time, I'm sure, because I went right into school and then I got out. I worked for a year with my mentor at her firm, and then I started my own. I'm sure people look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, girl, do you even know what they're doing? Absolutely, I do. And I have mentors when the time comes that I need to pull them in and have them kind of take the lead on something. But I don't. So here's the rub, right? Becoming a lawyer is such an expensive endeavor. There are people who...
Hell yeah.
Do you understand? I got really lucky. My family supports me, and this is coming from a place of privilege, absolutely 100%. I hear that and I understand that. My parents support me in whatever it is that I do. And I got really lucky to know early on that, and get the point driven home, that the grades that I earned in high school and in college would translate to actual dollars when it came to applying to college and applying to law school, because I got in on a full ride when I went to law school. So that takes a lot of like the costs out of the way. But even then, I still elected to live on campus and I had to pay for that out of pocket, right? And so I have some sizable loans, but there are other people who have $300,000, $400,000 of loans. And I don't know if, you're aware of where the world is going, what the interest rates are looking like, all these things that are going on.
I'm going through it.
People cannot buy houses. People cannot, there are people who cannot afford to pay rent, and they are attorneys, went to okay, they have these degrees and they should be making this amount of money, but the sometimes people take the opportunity to be able to pay for the lifestyle that they said that they should be able to have for the amount of work that they have done. And by no means is that a wrong approach to take. We work very hard, very, very hard. It is some of the hardest work that I've ever had to do in my entire life. Okay, like very hard. And sometimes I'm like, dang, why don't I just go into Big Law and just make that? They coming in at 200,000 now. Okay, like flat the first year, no skin in the game. Okay.
So what gave you the confidence to pursue that route, and what motivated you to work more on the ground level, not go with the Big Law route and open your own firm? Because that's exactly the path that I want to take. I didn't know it was really possible to open your own firm a year out of law school before I had a conversation with you and maybe one or two other people that did that as well. And it gave me so much confidence. I didn't know it was possible. What makes you want to do that? Because it's not easy. You're not, people say, oh, you're going into law, you're going to entertainment law, you're doing it for that, you're going to be making so much money. The route that we're going is not that profitable like that. So yeah.
No. Especially not for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
We have to pay back our hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans, okay? They're $300,000. That's how much a house used to cost in New York a very long time ago. Okay? No, there's nothing going for that right now. Even just like lawyering in and of itself is just so expensive. But again, like I said, like I'm kind of coming from, not even kind of, I'm coming from a place of privilege where I knew what I wanted to do. And there's privilege in even being able to have like the clarity and the space to sit and think about what I want to do at a young age and not have to worry about other things going on in my life. Or also not having to work and do anything like during school, just go to school, get the grades and like get it done. And then also, like, a lot of costs didn't come out of my own pocket. And especially early on starting the firm, I knew that I could do it because, like you, going in, I didn't know that I could start my own firm right out of school. Anytime, like, I thought about it or, you know, spoke to people about it in school, I always got that weird look. Or it's like, oh, you don't have good grades, do you?
Okay.
Honey,
I haven't got the good
know.
grades part yet, but I have gotten the how are you going to know what you're doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, nobody knows what they're doing when they first come out of school, in any profession, right? Because let me tell you something. You might think that you have a handle on something because you've dedicated so much time and so many hours to this, but it's different when you're out in the field doing it. And number two, it's different when you're going up against somebody who has 20 years of skin in the game. You do not know what you're doing compared to that person.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. Okay? But I go into that humble and knowing that. And I have connected with people who have those years of experience. And so I'm able to pull from their experiences whenever I come up against issues and stuff like that, you know? So there's that. And there's the visibility of seeking out people who wanted to do this the same way. Again, like I was saying, I didn't know, just like you didn't know, until you go and you reach out to people. There were people in my alumni network, in the alumni network at Brooklyn Law who had done the same thing. Hello, Christina, if you're watching, you're amazing. She was the one who told me, she was like, girl, you could do it. What are you waiting for? You could do it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Dope. She told me that. I was like, yeah, eventually I wanted to. She was like, you can do it sooner than you think. And I didn't believe her for the first year until I started working with my other mentor very, very closely in her firm. She also ran a solo practice. I was with her I was with her a lot and seeing how she made things move and shake. And I was like, oh, it's not easy, but it's possible. And so I thought at the particular time that I was given, it was right when New York City had shut down in 2020. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, if I ever want to do this, the world is coming to a standstill and I would have the opportunity to like put in that work while maybe other people are seeing this as a vacation. And not a vacation. And I understand that may sound crazy because there were a lot of people who died. But for a lot of people, they also had the privilege of not having to go to work. There were a lot of people who were able to stay home and keep themselves safe. And so I meant in that perspective, there were a lot of people who were seeing it as a time where like downtime.
Yeah. Especially when you were getting paid more on unemployment
yeah.
than their job.
Shit, bro. I was racking it up from doing nothing.
And let me tell you, I was looking at people. I say, "You go ahead and live your life, player. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. I wish I could get like you, but I couldn't get unemployment because I hadn't really worked at a real place before." And
Same,
so
I didn't get shit.
Shit, me neither. But I capped on mine. I got my shit. I got my 600 a week.
I didn't have that advantage, but then I was looking at like that firm, and I was like, okay, the work was really, really great work, and she was doing impactful work, but it was hard for me to go home and separate myself from it. I really care about people a lot, and so to see somebody suffering and seeing somebody hurt or seeing somebody like made a victim and taken advantage of, it really, really bothers me, especially for things that are just so foundational. She dealt with like employment law and matrimonial and like family law and stuff like that, and it was really hard to see that every day. And again, it was a privilege for me to be able to walk away from that, right? But I also understood, okay, if I have this privilege, but I have this vision and I have this dream and I have the opportunity to sit down and create the foundation and make it work, I need to take this opportunity because I don't know if it's going to come back around. So I took it.
Makes perfect sense.
Okay. Yeah. We have a lot of questions for you.
Please, keep going.
So like we said earlier, the core audience of our show is artists and entrepreneurs, creators and entrepreneurs. I need to stop saying artists. Most people, regardless. So let's say I am either a creative or an entrepreneur and I have some sort of problem that I need resolved by a lawyer. Are there certain things that I should do before reaching out to a lawyer to prepare for the conversation or prepare for the interaction?
Before you answer that, I would like to know how you like to be contacted. So
Okay.
maybe just a little step by step, like how.
Yeah, absolutely. So for a lot of lawyers, myself included, I like email being the first introduction.
Okay.
Yes,
Not
I do
DMs or...
Yeah, and I want to say that because so I get it that creatives are on social media all day, but the crux of the work that I have to do is going to be on my computer. And so I have my email up and I have my practice managing software up and I have Microsoft Word up. I'm not going to see the DMs and everything as soon as you would like me to, because I'm in the weeds of this stuff like every day. Like I actually do this work. So if you send me an email, I'm going to see that. I check my email like crazy. So that's the best way. My email address for first point of contact is contact@carterlawfirm.co, not .com. A lot of people get that mixed up. That is it's .co. So yeah, I think that email is going to be the best way to do that. Also because when you're doing time management, social media is a time trap. And so I try to stay off of it. I have the information there and I do check my DMs. But I try to stay off of it because it's so addictive and I can't stay off once I'm on. So
feel that for sure.
I try to not go on.
Social conversations with business is it's kind of rough. Yeah. Okay.
And I also do like to compartmentalize like the areas of my life. So
okay. Sure.
And I don't know if other lawyers can relate to that. And I try, of course, to meet people where they are, but that's what I like. And then to answer your question, Poncho, what to know before contacting an attorney, right?
Yeah. Or how to prepare before.
Oh, how to prepare.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you for making that distinction.
No problem.
So, truthfully, it's hard to know exactly what you need when you kind of don't know what you don't know. I would say if there any relevant facts, have those ready. Any relevant players and relevant contacts, have those ready.
Specific contacts, like if
you have like an email address, if you have a phone number, you know, but email address, like I like to have things in writing. I'm a lawyer, so you know, an email address is really great.
Detailed first?
No, do not
okay.
do that, and I'm going to tell you why. it comes down to legal ethics and the creation of an attorney-client relationship. On all of my points of contact, I have the disclaimer saying that anything that you're going to tell me, this is not creating an attorney-client relationship. The only thing that's going to create an attorney-client relationship between you and I is you signing that engagement letter and that first check is clearing. I'm sorry.
Right. Yes, and this is included.
Okay?
Yes.
Because the thing is, there are certain liabilities and penalties that we can face from our disciplining boards if we're giving out legal advice to people who are not our clients. And if you go out and do something and you say, oh yeah, because my lawyer told me, or my lawyer said that, and I'm not your lawyer, and I didn't give you any indication that I wasn't your lawyer, now I'm gonna have to be responsible for you. Mm-hmm. And aside from like not wanting to be responsible for somebody who's not paying me, I do not want to be responsible for you misinterpreting what it is that I said and thinking that this is what I meant to go do, because once you're in that attorney-client relationship with me, there's more control that I have in that situation and more of an opportunity for me to explain exactly what to do.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So general... My name is Poncho, and I'm let's say when you were a producer.
I made a beat yesterday. First beat I made him. Yeah, first beat I made in months. Yeah, facts. Shit is crazy.
And this guy ripped off. My name is Poncho. This guy stole my beat, and he used the song on YouTube. What do? No specific. Not this. This is the link, and this is the person, and this.
Yeah,
like, how general do you like it?
Let it be as general as possible. And if there's any confidential information, don't let me know that, because in the event that you have to go to court or something and something was confidential, but you told it to somebody, like you breached confidentiality on your own. What if that was something that you didn't want out there? Yeah. How are you going to be able to exclude it from discovery or anything like that if you've already told somebody about it?
Okay.
You know, like there are ways to protect yourself.
Law is like it's like a chess game.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. And that's why I do not advise people who do not know about law to try to practice law, because and I want to be transparent, they call law a practice because you are practicing and getting better. Like even as an attorney, you are practicing and getting better year after year after year. You know, when you have more things under your belt, you learn more, and so you're better able to do it. And I mean, you know, that's why people who are more experienced, they charge more. Yeah. They just know more.
So building off of that, what would you say to look for in an attorney, and how, at what point would you feel like this isn't a person I should trust if you were getting into it? You know what I mean? And not only trust, but they're competent as well. Like, what would you say?
Well, first of all, I would say know your budget. Know your budget and know that that's going to influence a lot of the times the access to legal help and legal protection that you're going to get. Sometimes there are attorneys that are able to do things on contingency basis and stuff like that. That is definitely up to them and up to the relationship that you have with them. But know your budget.
What would be a contingency basis?
Oh, so that means that means they're gonna take a percentage of the revenue that you generate.
Usually like 5%, right?
Yeah, like 5 to 10, depending. It depends on a lot. And once we really get into the weeds of things, you're going to hear me say it depends, because truly, it's based on what the facts of the situation are in any situation that you get involved in, and because they're so fact specific, the outcomes and the answers are going to be fact specific. And again, that's why there are so many like hoops you have to jump through when engaging a lawyer, because they have to know what the facts are to give you that customized experience. But to answer your question of what to think of when you're hiring an attorney or engaging an attorney, first and foremost, know that this person does what you're looking for. So
like they're the right type of attorney?
Yeah, that they're the right type of attorney, because so myself, there are aspects of intellectual property that I don't practice. I don't do patents. So you can't come to me and ask me for a patent, because I'm going to tell you I'm not a patent attorney.
So how do you tell what a lawyer does? What they practice? Yeah, and what they don't, maybe. But
that's truly up to, I guess, how good their marketing is. And I think that especially when there are solo attorneys, they try to be very, very, and most of them are very good at letting you know exactly what they do. And they don't really say what they don't do, but you can kind of put the pieces together. If you don't see it there, it's likely that they don't do it. But again, you can always ask. And I think that don't ever be afraid to ask. And I'm sure it can be intimidating, but just ask.
And they might refer you if they don't know.
And
they will be able to.
And they'll probably be able to refer you. Sometimes they won't be able to. And that's not always because they don't know a lawyer that does that, but sometimes they may not think to do that, you know? So they maybe just don't want to refer you to that lawyer, or they know that if you're coming with like a certain budget, they're not going to mess up their contact sending them like somebody that's a waste of their time. You
it's
know?
like, do you notice lawyers, just to the first point of that, like might be like territorial in a way?
Yes.
Yes.
I have definitely seen that. I am not that way.
Okay.
That may be a bit of like naivete because I'm so green to this, you know, like so new to being an attorney. But again, the clients that like me and work with me, they like me. And they want to work with me specifically, right? What's for you is always going to be for you. So I don't ever worry about stuff like that. If somebody really wants this client, is going to fight me for this client, and I'm not going to fight back, it might be an indicator to me too that maybe this person should be that person's attorney. That has not ever happened. Because I also really like my clients. Okay, so yeah, maybe we're territorial.
Damn, what I think, what
maybe we're territorial. It's saying that we get territorial, but we work with these people all day, every day. You get to know their lives, you get to know like their families and stuff. Because a lot of the times, okay, for me being a business attorney and, well, you know, for small businesses and also creatives, a lot of the times people are working with family members and they're working with like their best friends and stuff like that. You meet a lot of like the important players in these people's lives and you see them interacting together all the time. And it's hard to not, you know, I wouldn't say it's hard to ignore like that human aspect of it. And it would be hard for you to say, is anybody else out there going to care about these people the way that I care about their business? Especially someone like me who works with people from grassroots days of people's businesses. I've seen them go through a lot of hard stuff and I want them to win versus someone who just wants to make a quick buck off of them.
100%. And it's kind of, I had a thought when you said that, building off of what you just said, is territorial. What made me think of is there's a lot of lawyers, especially more old school lawyers, who aren't as democratic or thinking as democratic with the information available, in the sense where there's lawyers like you and other young attorneys that realize there's this educational gap in creatives that needs to be sort of addressed. And a lot of them don't really want to make the information accessible because it's taking away their jobs. And I've sort of seen that or heard that at least being a thing.
Jared said that 90 to 95% of his clients don't understand basic like music royalties and things like, you would agree with that?
I don't want to put anybody on blast, but they're coming to me because I know it.
Yeah.
Better than they know it.
Yeah. Where it's like, there's simple things like registering with the PRO or putting your copyrights on. Like, if you learned how to do it, you wouldn't need an attorney for it, and you could save that money. So it could kind of come out of the lawyer's pocket. So I feel like some people are hesitant to put that information online, but maybe not.
But again, for me, why I don't usually worry about stuff like that, because if you're creative and you want to be as good as a creative as you think you are, you're going to dedicate a lot of your time creating. I'm a lawyer, and if I want to be as good as a lawyer as I say I am, I'm going to be spending most of my time lawyering. I can lawyer better than you can. So when eventually, if you want to go and do whatever you want to do, absolutely find more power to you. I think that it's very important for creatives to understand themselves as business owners. You need to know all aspects of your business, right? But eventually you're going to mess up and you're going to have to go to a lawyer.
For sure. All right. So I have a very interesting question for you. Let's say someone approaches you, right? And let's say you meet them in person. What is it about a client that would make you want to work with them more versus turn you off to working with the client?
So what would make me want to work with a client? truthfully, anybody who's coming to the table who's saying, I really need your help, and I recognize that I need your help, and I'm going to listen to what it is that you're going to say. And, you know, I always answer them. I'm like, okay, understood. Because I like to think of it as like, okay, I'm going to be a hired gun in a lot of aspects, right? So it's really going to be at your word. You're saying, okay, this is what you want done. This is your goal. These are your goals. This is your vision. I'm trying to help you bring that to life. What's going to turn me off is someone who comes to me and thinks, okay, to put it plainly, I went to school for this. I did a lot. There was blood, sweat, and tears that went into this. I know what I'm doing. You don't want me coming into your studio, whether it's a music studio or art studio, saying, yeah, I could do this.
Facts. I haven't heard it like that before.
You know?
That's definitely real.
Yeah.
Like, that's your art. This is my art.
Yeah.
So you're going to trust me to do this or not?
Somebody who seems like a know-it-all when they come, or pretend like, because it's something I've noticed when I try to explain people, I'm not an attorney, but simpler things, they like to pretend like they've heard what a PRO is and things like that, and just regular things, you know what I mean, publishing. And I don't know if that's your experience. Maybe they humble themselves a little bit more because they're talking to an attorney and they like to just listen and they realize that that's what they're hiring you for. So do you encounter that sometimes where people come to you and they like to pretend like, I know you said that you explain things from the beginning, you say it whether they know it or not. That seems like, you know, you don't really even need to worry about what I'm saying right now. Because you do that. So,
and that's my approach to it, just because I like to just keep it even and fair across the board. And of course the ethos is, I want you to know. But don't come shit off the bat like you already know. Yeah. Because if you knew, then I would have saw you in school. You weren't there in the library with me.
Okay. Feel that.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
You were in the studio though. And I can't tell you how to make your art because when I was in the library, you was in the studio.
Is there anything else that might turn you off to somebody?
I gotta be real, you know? And because I want people to understand that this is not just like coming from me. And I don't want to speak for other attorneys, but it's something that I have seen. Sometimes if you don't have your budget together and you don't know what you want, and maybe like your stuff is really, really a mess, like your catalog is a mess, you don't have like your agreements together, you don't have a lot of your intellectual property together, you've put this off for too long, those two things are really going to be a turn off. For some, but some people will look at it and be like, okay, great, because to clean all of that up, it's going to cost you a lot of money, you know? But because it's hard, and I will go again to say that, like I was saying before, it's very, very expensive to be a lawyer and to offer these services to people. When you can't pay your lawyer, they're digging into their own pocket, right? Like you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. You understand? And so that's how people's businesses like kind of run amok. And asking for a discount, it's disrespectful. Because what I hear and I will speak for myself on this. What I hear when someone says that they want a discount is that they don't believe that my services are worth the sticker price.
Yeah, they don't value it. Yeah.
And if we're already coming into this work relationship where you don't even value me or my work, it's not going to work in the long run. Right? It's like with any other relationship. If somebody's coming to the table trying to get you to do for less than what you deserve, it's going to shit eventually.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the person who like bears the brunt of it is the attorney, because in the situation, like in the eyes of the law and like legal ethics and things like that, we're the person who should know better.
So building off of that, just to make you more accessible, or maybe lawyers in general more accessible, it would be pretty useful. As much as you want to get into it, feel free to not touch on anything you don't, but just sort of pricing for general sort of things that you encounter, maybe most, or you might see. And it might depend, so maybe not want to speak on that, but that's
it depends.
Sort of the most intimidating piece for people a lot of times. So.
It
or whatever
depends.
Package you might offer, or things like
depends. But I will say, like, to address that issue, because I see it come up a lot, and sometimes people just truly the cost barrier is just too high. But I still believe that, especially creatives, again, I was talking to about like why I got into this in the first place. I still believe that creatives deserve legal representation. They deserve legal counsel. So while I do offer my services on a retainer, There are some things that I can offer at a flat fee for things that are more controlled and more finite, that are more accessible from a price point. Now,
could you explain what a retainer is versus paying for like a flat fee?
Yeah. So a retainer, like paying somebody on a retainer basis is, okay, you've signed the agreement and they're engaged to be representing you indefinitely. Or in the agreement, it can say when this attorney-client relationship ends. But you pay a fee up front. And depending on the agreement, but usually what I do is if you pay me like a couple $1,000s up front over the course of a month, all of the work that I have to do for you, I'm going to bill my hourly against that payment that you made up front. And then once we get to a specific threshold, I'm like, okay, you got to top it up. And then we just keep going from there and like the top ups and keep going from there.
And a retainer, like, would it be, let's say you do a retainer versus an hourly, would the retainer be less expensive than just the hourly, or is it the same?
It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same. But that's how I do it. But it can be less if it depends on what the lawyer is going to like just accept in the fee agreement and what they are allowed to accept.
Because you said
wait. So wouldn't
hourly is billed against the retainer? So if you
have but then wouldn't it be in an artist's best
whatever
interest to not do a retainer?
It depends on where you are in your career.
Okay.
Right? Because are you the kind of artist where you have deals presented to you all the time? You constantly need someone there to talk to you about these deals, to talk to you about any legal issues that you're coming into. Like, do you need to talk to an attorney a lot? If the answer is yes,
then you would want to retain.
Then you would probably want to have a retainer.
Because the lawyer's already committed to you?
Exactly. The lawyer's already committed to you. You can just pick up the phone and call them as opposed to, okay, this is what you need to do. And then they have to do all the intake and the onboarding and then signing the agreements and getting the payments in place before getting to the work. If you've already, marked yourself down on the list of these are the people that I'm going to be working with, that the attorney is going to be working with, that relationship is already set in stone. And so whenever we're doing anything, we'll do it for you, but every billable hour is coming out of that retainer. So that's how that works. I don't know if there are other attorneys that don't ask for a retainer, but just do work for you. Even like a deposit is kind of like a retainer, honestly. So when you hear people say, "Oh yeah, just pay this deposit," that's essentially a retainer. It just kind of looks differently, right?
Interesting.
But and that's just kind of to secure that somebody is going to pay you for the work that you've done. Sometimes people don't like to pay, and I don't play by my money. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm doing this, and I am in service, and I have a great gratitude to creatives and small business owners. When my bills need to be paid. They just say, hey, this needs to be paid. They don't care. Yeah. They don't want to hear none of the back talk. They don't want to hear anything. And I need to have the money in my account to be able to pay that to continue to help people.
And like we said, being a lawyer is super expensive.
It's super expensive.
Beforehand and currently and
after.
Yeah.
Truly after.
And
because
after.
Even if you want to get out of a practice, even when you want to get out of practice, there are certain things that you have to do and people that have to be paid and just things that have to happen so that you do it properly by your clients. But aside from like the retainers and stuff like that, there's also just flat fee. Sometimes an attorney is able to, if they've done enough like agreements over a course of time or
like a producer agreement, they'll charge you X.
They know approximately how much time that's going to take them to do, and they know what information they need from you. They know who they need to talk to. They have a good gauge on how long that's going to take. They can create like a fair rate. You just pay that flat fee and you're good to go. It's the same like with certain intellectual property things. Like for me, I have packages for my intellectual property because I know how long it's going to take me to do this. I know what I need. Like I have systems and processes in place because I've done it enough times. Then there are things that I do where I allow people to, sit with me for fixed amounts of time to talk about what it is that they're doing and what they might need. And to give them like a plan
business strategy sort of conversation.
Yeah. And because if you have legal questions that you want to ask, you have to understand that you're asking a lawyer to do work. Their work is to sit there and think and answer your questions, essentially. So it's also kind of rude to just ask people what are like the answers to your legal questions because you're asking for free work. Yeah. And also they can get in trouble. So, but if you have like a fixed engagement of, okay, I'm going to counsel you on this, and you set it up in a way that, you know, it's good for the lawyer and it's good for you because you get what you need out of it. If you need just 1 to 2 hours with a lawyer, or even legal consultants, those exist too, like outside of, I think that those would be harder to find. And I know you guys have already said that.
Yeah, I've seen the, I feel like they usually have a stronger social media presence. I've seen some of them that they have.
Yeah, you can find a lot of them on Instagram. I would definitely search the legal consultant tag. But there are people who do that as well. And that's a really good avenue to take, especially if you're just starting out and your budget is more fixed. And, you know, like work is more sparse and spaced out. There are a lot of options out there. I don't think that right now, since you're saying, and I've heard a lot of people say this, that they don't know where to go, I don't think that we're doing a good job of communicating that this stuff is out there. But I'm hoping
I think that they're just not like... this is gonna sound crazy. Like, I just think a lot of lawyers aren't outside. Like the last interview we did was with. What?
You're telling me, bro. I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, exactly. I know you know. Yeah, 100%. I know you. Yeah, we did an interview. Shout out Kiro Jewelers in Port Chester. And like he's a jeweler, and like he's not like really like in like the like he's not like a rapper. He's not a producer, but he's still in the scene. So that's how everyone knows him. I feel like a lot of lawyers don't step on the scene.
Yeah, really. And the ones that do, it's kind of like whenever I go to certain rooms, they say you're a law student. I've never met anybody in that space before. When one day you're gonna be my lawyer because I've never met anybody. Yeah. So I've just noticed like my marketing is gonna be a lot of just people know me on the scene. That's sort of the way I'm approaching it and my mentality. And I feel like I already know enough people. If I had my own firm, I would have a firm.
Yeah. No, that's real shit. That's real shit.
You have to be because that's where your clientele is, and I think that for some lawyers, their clientele isn't outside. They're inside at those networking events, right? Because like I was saying before, there are a lot of lawyers who they're looking for the return on this big investment that they've made into themselves into themselves and their education. Okay. So their clientele, essentially who they're selling themselves to, are employers.
Yes. Okay.
And it's the employer's job to come and get clients for them to work on.
Yes.
When you work for yourself, we have to be out.
Outside. Yeah.
That 100%.
Okay, wait. So let's say 10 people graduate law school today. How many of them are going into a big firm versus opening their own?
In entertainment, I assume you're asking.
Yes, in entertainment. Why?
Yeah.
Just in general, in my experience. Okay, I'm not going to say in general. I'm going to say in my experience. And I know that my experience is not everyone's.
Okay.
Most people are trying to get into big law.
Just because of the money.
Yeah.
And you're not a business, like you're not started. There's a lot more security in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they put their last into getting this done. They put their last into this. And for some people going to law school, this is not their first rodeo. This is not their first career. This is second career. These are people with relationships. Like they are married. They have kids. Like they have mouths
age
to
is
feed.
Like high 20s and average age.
Yeah. There are people, they have real bills to pay, and they have real stuff is going on in their lives that they need to be funding. So yes, they're going to go to big law. They're going to go to the mid-sized firm. They're going to go and chase that. And then there are some people, a sizable amount too, because of the school that we go to. I think it's very public interest focused, that go into public interest law. So they'll be going to like the legal aid societies, and they'll be public defenders and things like that. And then of course there are people who do they work for the government and stuff. Yeah. And great.
Not in for money. They don't make really much money at all.
And they're not in it for the money.
They'll make like 80,000, 70,000 a year, like working for like these
but they believe in justice and like our judicial system and things like that, and they want to be a part of that, and they're willing to make a financial sacrifice to be able to do that, like to fulfill their life's purpose. Interesting. It just so happens that there are a few of us, much fewer of us, who aside from having that passion to want to help people, are in a position where they are able to. Because it's not, because there are a lot of people that I went to school with that I think would be doing what I'm doing or may want to do what I'm doing.
But just life just didn't allow.
But how are they going to afford that?
Yeah. That's something we talked about. If it's okay, talk about like you gave me that sort of realistic approach where, because you talked to me about finances, nothing I'll talk about now. That's in a way that other lawyers that I talk to that are doing what you're doing did not give me that sort of advice, and I'm super grateful for you. And you made it clear, like, to take your route at first, you might have to take that sort of initiative.
You're gonna have to take that
support.
L.
You need to have support, and I'm grateful enough where I will. My parents made it clear, like, I know you're taking this route, and I'll give you that support. So I'm with you, and you gave me confidence and support. So,
I'm so happy because I think that the work is necessary, absolutely. But people may want to do it, but literally can't.
Yeah,
like when they go and they crunch the numbers, they can't.
It just doesn't make sense.
And I don't fault them for that at all.
It's unpredictable too. So can you even crunch numbers? Like, it's like, I mean.
Okay, like I'm pointing off screen to an accountant over here. Sometimes we'll have conversations about like, oh yeah, so like how much do you pay yourself and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, in the early days that wasn't like a thing. Number one, everything goes into the business. Even now, most of it goes back into the business. Even if I have like discretionary income and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The way that I think about my life now, it's like, oh yeah, like I could spend this money, like, you know, buying makeup and, you know, buying cute stuff, blah blah blah. But my malpractice insurance is expensive.
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, my practice manager, like the software is expensive.
Hell yeah.
To do this stuff is expensive. I'm like, okay, I would rather spend that money here than there. And it's like that in the beginning because I'm also working with clients who. These are not like the superstars yet, right?
Yeah.
And there are so many people that I've met and I'm like, yes, I know it. You're going to hit it big. You're going to be that superstar and I want to help you get there. If you want to keep me on board, you're going to keep me on board. Okay. Because I'm going to make sure that you get there. But that we're not making the superstar Beyonce money right now. And that's just the reality of it.
For sure.
There's one other thing I wanted to hit on about just your relationship working with clients. I want to talk expectations for a minute because like I said before, even off camera, like a lot of people don't know what to expect, don't know how to go about it, just don't know anything. So what are some things like, all right, let's say I hire you today that I should expect, whether hiring for anything, what should I expect from a lawyer and what should I not expect from a lawyer?
Okay. What you should expect, and this is from a standard that like I keep for myself, you should expect that all of the agreements that you're going to have with the lawyer, you have an opportunity to talk to someone else independently of that. Hopefully it's another lawyer. Hopefully they can I want to say refer you to another lawyer to review it so that you can sign it in confidence. If you feel like, okay, this is somebody that I have a good relationship with and I'm not expecting that they're going to, screw me over, you can have that attorney explain that to you. You need to you come to the table with the expectation that that attorney is still going to insist for your sake that you talk to someone else about it. You should also expect that they're going to listen to you, that they're going to have the time for you, that they're going to see things from your perspective and not try to be paternalistic about what it is.
Not try to be what?
Paternalistic. So like they're not trying to make it seem like, oh, you don't know anything, so this is what's best for you and this is how we're going to do it.
Like trying to make you feel just like stupid.
And it's so rude because you're essentially like this attorney's employer. You understand?
Okay.
So if anything is going to be a paternal relationship, if it's going to be paternalistic, it needs to come from your side.
Interesting.
Okay?
That's interesting.
You're the one paying them. And that's unhealthy either way it goes. But if it was going to be unhealthy, it needs to be unhealthy on that side.
So you make the decision, not necessarily you just give your...
This is my advice in my experience and in my education. This is telling me that this is what this is going to look like. And this is these are the legal things acting on your work and your expectations and your vision. So you should expect that this person is not, again, going to be paternalistic, that they're going to explain things to you that you don't understand. You should expect that this is a person that you're going to be able to come to and ask questions. Even if you think it is a stupid question, there are no stupid questions. Even if you think, oh, I'm bothering them. If they're busy, they're going to let you know, and you should expect that they're going to let you know that they're going to call you back at a time when they have the time to fully give the attention that it is that you deserve to your issue and your question. You should expect that they're going to try their fucking hardest to get done what you need done. Now, you shouldn't expect the results that other people have gotten, because we can never guarantee results. We can never guarantee outcomes. Like I said, things are very, very fact specific. And sometimes crazy things happen that nobody was anticipating, that nobody saw coming. And that's going to impact what it is that you're trying to do.
So if a lawyer was ever like, yeah, I can guarantee this will happen, you should run.
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm not the lawyer that's going to tell you 100% this is what you're going to get.
Seems like there's few situations where that'd be like in general, but
because if you're really thinking, I haven't been presented with a question or a situation where a client is asking me about an outcome where I could say 100% this is how it's going to go based on all of the things that I'm factoring in. Because just some of these issues, they really can go either way. And even if you think, okay, I have this system in place, it's going to go well and blah, blah, blah. I can think that in my head, oh yeah, 100% I got this. And then at the last minute, something happens and now you're totally out of control. And it might be that maybe your client was hiding something from you. Maybe the person on the other end of on the other side of the table is having a really shitty day.
Do clients hide things a lot?
Yes.
Because it's embarrassing.
Because it's embarrassing. Because they think it didn't matter. Because like there's so many reasons why you would hide things. But the same way you wouldn't hide something from your doctor, do not hide from your lawyer. Don't do that, because we can't help you if we don't know the full lay of the land. So there are things like that. And yes, and you should also expect that your lawyer is going to expect that you are telling them the truth. Okay? We deal in facts.
That's a good point.
And then you should also expect that your lawyer is going to know that even if you think it's the truth from where you're standing, they're thinking about it from the other side. And the other side and the other side and the other side.
Yeah. Very just non-emotionally, just what's the word? The fuck is the word? I get what you're saying. I don't know.
Right, yeah. Yes, because of course we want to believe everything that we want to believe that our clients are going to tell us everything all the time 100%. But humans are fallible. Right? And that's not just saying like the person on the other side is fallible. Sometimes attorneys can be fallible. And you should expect also that if your attorney makes a mistake, that they're going to come to you as soon as they recognize that they've made the mistake, apologize for it, and atone for it and try to make it better. You should expect that this person is on your side. And if forever, at any moment, you don't feel that person is on your side, let them know. Let them know how they're feeling. Because sometimes they may not realize that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I know because even in my case, sometimes like my clients will tell me things and I try to get in front of it too, because I give them a preamble. I preface it by saying, okay, you're going to think that I'm trying to argue you down and fight with you on this, but I'm just trying to get into the head of somebody who is not on your side and try to attack it from every angle, to just poke holes in what it is that you're saying.
Dope.
Wow.
And then they get upset. And it's like, why are you upset? I'm doing my job. Because someone who doesn't care about you, somebody who is not being paid by you is going to come, and who is paid by someone else to come for you and get you, they're going to ask those questions.
Jeez, makes sense.
Wow.
Damn. So we have extra time because Miles coming late. So he texted me he's coming late. So
he texted you?
Yeah, he's coming late.
Okay.
So what I want to touch on before we go, we've probably been at about like an hour 10 now.
Oh, okay.
And something I really wanted to touch on. This was a super dope conversation. Thank you so much for sharing all this.
Problem.
Like
Facts.
this is focused a
problem.
lot on just making lawyers seeming more accessible and obviously a super big important part of the game for almost everybody in the field. So thank you so much for speaking on that. But something I want to touch on a little bit now is on the intellectual property side. And what is intellectual property? And specifically, what's the difference between copyright, trademark, and a patent?
Okay. So I do want to say that there's an element of intellectual property that you miss. There's trade secrets, but I don't deal in trade secrets and I don't deal in patents. Literally secrets that are essential to like someone's business, right? Like the secret sauce. Yeah, right? The Krabby Patty formula, trade secret. You feel me?
Is that applicable? Does that come up in like my drum kit, like my specific drum kit and the way I make it? Would that be considered? Is that
the way I do my vocals?
Could that be?
I've never heard that term before.
If it's a process,
if
it's a process, okay, I'm gonna say like it depends because now I want to know. Okay, what do you mean? Right, and so we could go into this, and that could be a whole consultation, you know.
Yeah, but it's not. It's probably the least applicable. Well, maybe I don't know. Touch on what you're gonna say.
So there are trade secrets, and then there are patents, right? I also don't deal in those, so I'm gonna give you, you know, the 30,000 degrees of the air overview of that, which is. So those are, you know, for inventions of products and processes. So those can be like machines. If you created like a new invention of something and there's a specific way of how it's made and how it's done. If I hear any patent lawyers looking at me and saying, oh, she's saying it all wrong. Yeah, I'm not a patent lawyer. So there, you know, the machines, there are processes, even like the ways that certain games are played can be patented.
There
so
can be
that's one thing.
Patents as well.
Yeah,
patents.
Right, because you've invented a new strain, like a new species of plant. So you can do stuff like that. When it comes to trademarks, those are okay. I'll start with saying that the underlying idea of trademark is to help consumers understand the source of where their goods are coming from and then be able to assess the quality of those things, right? It's there to protect consumers and to put them on notice. So that's something that you're going to use if it's like a name, if it's a slogan or a tagline, if it's a sound, if it's a smell, anything that has to do with something that you are using as your identifier for what you're selling in the marketplace, that's usually going to be a trademark. I'm not going to get into it because I can go all day, but some examples are, okay, like for a sound, that NBC like sound that they do, trademark. Sometimes like when it comes to a smell, and I know that that's something like crazy to think about, like trademarking a smell, but if there's a scent that a specific store, like say Verizon.
I was just about to say a Starbucks.
Or even like a
that.
Starbucks. I don't know if this is what they've done, because I've yet to trademark a smell. But if they're pumping a scent into their stores like every single time, so that with the intent that they're that anybody who comes into the store and all of the stores are going to associate that scent with their store, trademark. It's like your mark of like the trade that you're doing in the marketplace, right?
Like the Nike
that's
check.
The Nike check, really. That's an image.
Yeah.
A logo. And then like the name Coca-Cola, stuff like that. Those are trademarks.
And there's different types of trademarks when you register them. What are some of the different types of trademarks, real quick?
So there's gonna be word marks and like design marks or stylistic or stylized images. A design mark is gonna be, so take for Nike, for example, we're gonna use that. Nike, the name used for sneakers and other like athletic apparel in the marketplace, that word or that name, I'm very sure that they've had it trademarked as a word mark. I wouldn't know, but I can safely assume that that is the case. I would be surprised if they didn't. And then with their check, that's just an image, but they use that image as their identifier in the marketplace of like, okay, you know that if these sneakers have the check on it, that's a Nike sneaker, right? Or you see it like on the hoodies and stuff, you know that's a Nike hoodie.
Okay, wait. I have one question, not to cut you off, but just while we're on trademarks, how early should I get one? Like, let's say I have an idea, should like immediately, like, I think this is going to be something, I have no physical proof, but I think this is going to be something big, I want to trademark it, or should I wait until there's some sort of result to come?
Okay, when it comes like, that's really a business decision, and you can talk to an attorney about that. But if this is something that you have nothing for, you need to consider that there are applications that you can file to do that, but there's going to be a specific time period where you're going to have to prove to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, that always called the USPTO. So if you hear that after this,
.gov, right? The is that the website?
Yeah, USPTO.gov,
Okay.
the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Yeah, I remember that.
You can't squat on a mark. Like, you can't just say, yeah, I'm going to use this one day. No, that's not fair to other people who are trying to, sell things in the marketplace. You have to just prove that you're going to use it after a specific amount of time. So are you going to take that, are you going to invest that money to make that application, like to register that application when you know that you don't have anything for it yet? Or, are you thinking, this is like a really great idea and I just really want to protect it and I am making moves to do it? That's something to consider, because you can essentially register, and then once you have those things in place, you can update your application and hopefully everything pushes through.
Okay.
So isn't it if you're using it for a certain amount of time and it does become affiliated with your brand and you don't even register it, it still could be considered your trademark, and if somebody infringes it, you can't file for statutes or
So there's something that exists called, like, you have common law trademark rights, but that's usually constrained to a geographic area. And I suppose the argument can be made that if for all of this time, like if Nike all of this time hadn't had something trademarked, maybe an argument can be made there. I don't know.
Yeah, we're getting
we're getting into the weeds, but at a specific time, like in doing business, as it gets more sophisticated, you understand that these protections have to be put into place. So eventually you get a lawyer and your lawyer is telling you, hey, you need to do this. And so you do it. But yes, common law trademarks exist. And if you have been using a mark for longer than someone who I suppose has registered that mark, they can't exclude you. It depends. Okay, of course, factually specific, maybe they can't prevent you from using that mark. But they can exclude everybody else.
So I feel like the best example that comes to mind is somebody's name. So like, say there's like you were using the name Poncho Music for like a long ass time for like 10 years and you never registered it. Somebody can't really come and use it, like, unless you've established a certain amount of success and credibility that it's associated in the general public. And if they do use Poncho Music, but it's a different, like a music store, that'd be something else.
I don't know, because there was an issue. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band like Lady Antebellum and like Lady A. Like that has been. I have to go back and see like if that has resolved and like where that ended up. But from what I was hearing, like they were really trying to exclude her from using her mark. And did they have like a valid argument for that? I wouldn't say so. This lady has been using this for this whole time.
Super fuzzy. Yeah. Okay.
But they beat her to the register. And so like,
who wound up winning that? Was it the new lady?
Well, that's what I'm trying to like that. I have to go back and check on that. But all of my clients, especially my small business clients, I just let them know like, hey, whether it's going to be an intent to use application or a currently in use application.
Intent to use and then
because there's a lot of legal stuff going on there, but they have you have two different options. There are a bunch of different options, but those two main ones are the intent to use and it's already in use. So if you are intending to use it at some point, just make sure that that is the case, because they're going to come and ask you for proof. And actually, recently, with the Trademark Modernization Act of 2020,
didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Please look into it, because that's going to be something good for you to know as you get into practice, and to just counsel your book of IP clients. If you're not using your mark the way that you say you're using your mark, people are coming for you. You're going to have to get up off of it. You're going to have to get up off the mark because they're coming for you. They're coming for you. They're going to say, hey, they're not. They're going to go and tattle. They're going to go and tattle to the USPTO and say, hey, they're not using it. And now the USPTO is going to go do their own investigation. If they find out that you're not using it the way that you say you're using it,
take it. Yeah.
You're done.
Okay, that's how that works?
Yeah. It's a little bit more specific, but just make sure that you're actually using your mark for what you're registering it for.
Gotcha. Wow. And building off of that, something that really applicable, like so many people are dealing with this, and I know you're dealing with this situation, when you're getting a logo built for you. And I want to touch on work for hire agreements and sort of how does that work when you're looking for, if I'm building a logo for my company, whatever it is, let's say for this podcast, we're looking for a logo. What do you need to put in the agreement to make sure you're protected in the long run? And I'll let you take it.
Yes. So I'll start by saying this has to do specifically with that piece of intellectual property that is copyright. And so copyright is going to be the exclusive rights that you get as an author who has expressed, and this is like a loose definition, like don't quote me word for word, you can Google it, is there. But if you've created like a work, so like if it's a poem, if it's a song, if it's a sound recording, things like that, a picture, things like that, you have your idea and you fixed it in a tangible form of expression, you have those exclusive rights. So that's going to include the right to reproduce the work, the right to make derivative works, the right to publicly display it, publicly perform it, things like that. And that comes into when you're hiring somebody with a logo and work for hire agreements, because like I said, if you have this idea and you're the author who has fixed this idea in a tangible form of expression, you're the copyright owner, whether you register it or not. But a work for hire is going to be great. What a work for hire is a work that was created at the behest of someone else. So someone has commissioned this work, and someone has commissioned this work, and so the way that the agreement is set up is that even though you're making this person owns it. So a lot of the time, when you're working for somebody in an employment agreement, they're usually going to have like work for hire clauses just in case it wasn't already clear. Because if a work is created in the course of your employment, that's going to belong to your employer a lot of the time. So they put that in there. When you're hiring somebody to do your logo, if there can be situations where you've now hired them to do this, but if you didn't really put the proper things in place, like if there's no work for hire clause in the agreement, like, yes, it can be argued, oh, but this was made in the course of my employment of this person, like I contracted, but okay, what's an employee? Or is this person an independent contractor? And so now, like, there's a lot into the mix. And so just in case, you need to put that work for hire clause or have a work for hire agreement so that you have this logo, you want to go and trademark it. You can't trademark something that you don't own the copyright to. I mean, maybe you can push it through and it's now registered, but if somebody really comes for you on it, you don't really have the protections that you think you do. Yeah,
so like an album art is one thing I could think of where so many people have an album art. Yo, can you make me an album art? Yeah, he makes me an album art. I put it on my album. No contract, maybe just like a very short thing. And like now I'm trying to print it on hoodies, and now I'm Drake, and now I'm trying to sell them. They're coming for you. Like how? Like yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. That escalated quickly. No, now they Drake.
Whoa. I would say go talk to a lawyer about that. Yeah. Like if you're creative and you're collaborating with other creatives, talk to a lawyer about what that collaboration looks like.
Okay.
Cover your ass. Because as soon as someone else gets a little bit more savvy than you are on the legal side, the law is the law, and it's always going to agree with itself.
Wow. You know, there's definitely more we could get into it, but one, I want this to be digestible.
Yes.
And just on that, I don't want to make it too long. So I appreciate you coming through.
Of course.
Facts. Could you tell the people where to find you on social media?
Okay. So on social media, on Facebook, the Carter Law Firm. I don't know if this audience goes on Facebook anymore.
No,
and the off chance that you do, I'm there though. So I'll start there. Also, I'm on Instagram at carterlawfirm.co. Not .com, .co. I am also at www.carterlawfirm.co. And I am also on YouTube right now as the Carter Firm Media.
Oh yeah,
super insightful content. Like, please check out our Instagram and please check out our YouTube.
Yes.
It's very digestible.
Thank
Looks
you.
beautiful, and content is so much there. So thank you so much for sharing.
And there will be
your
more
experience.
content.
Yeah,
in the near
hope
future.
So. I hope so because
I got a lot of work to do though.
Yeah. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Wait, one last shout out we have to do is shout out Professor Conwar, Joy Conwar.
Yes.
And I'm definitely sharing this with her and with the class. I'm so happy that you came through. One of the most impactful people in our lives, and I wanted to bring her up before because.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Professor Conway. Hi. Anybody who has her as a professor right now understand that you are very lucky. I didn't have any other professor for my legal writing class. I had her, and she was great. She was excellent. She's amazing. Very inspiring, and she has this really, really great way of meeting students where they are, not only in their writing journey, but in their journey as a lawyer. And me and her have had many conversations about like what lawyering was going to look like for me and how I felt about it personally and where I was. And she shared with me her journey, and so inspiring, and just the sweetest, kindest, warmest woman in the world. Is like, you have this idea of lawyers in your head. She is the antithesis of that, and in the best way.
I feel that 1,000,000%. So inspiring to me, and for real, one of the sweetest and humblest, and genuinely cares about our students. And it's so important to have people like that in your life. If you don't,
she just radiates just warmth and kindness, and she really cares that you succeed.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that my other professors weren't great. Y'all know who you are, and I love you, but we talk about Professor Conwar. She's amazing. She's amazing. You guys are so lucky that like you have her. She's amazing. And you don't only, well, she'll tell you if she is accessible to you after you are in her class or not, but she's a great person to talk to later on in your law school career, because it gets crazy. I
definitely will. And I keep talking about it.
You get jaded, and she'll bring you right back to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah. Thank you for tuning in. I know you learned something from that. So please subscribe and share it with the homies. And we will be back next time with more amazing content. So, yes.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
That was fire.